Hey, what's going on? I'd like to welcome you all to Word of Your Soil. So this video is going to be about utilization. I'm sure many of you out there heard the word utilization before. Utilization is so important when it comes to your credit score and improving your credit score. In fact, if you have your utilization down pat, it can help your credit score tremendously. So in this video, I'm going to talk about everything that you need to know in terms of utilization, because as I stated, utilization is very important and necessary for your credit score. All right, so make sure you watch the full video and let's get into it. Alright, so let's get into it about utilization. But before we start, be sure to hit the like button. If this video helped you any type of way, hit the like button after you watch the video. Also, if you're a first time viewer or a second time or whatever, and you're not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Help the channel grow. This is a semi-new channel. It's still a new channel compared to the other channels. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, because like I tell all of my subscribers, in the future, once I reach a certain amount of subscribers, I'm going to be doing live streams answering your credit questions. So be sure to hit the subscribe button, because you don't want to miss out on that. So hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell. If you subscribed and you're not hitting the bell, you're missing out on the videos. But anyways, make sure you do that. So we're gonna get right into it regarding utilization. I know you hear that word like utilization, and some of you may be wondering, what is utilization? Well, utilization is the amount that you use of your total amount of credit that's offered to you. So to break it down in layman's term, let's say you have a $10,000 credit limit, correct? So you have a $10,000 credit limit. Your utilization is going to be the percentage of that $10,000 that you use. So let's say you got the $10,000 credit limit. Let's say it could be for any card. You have a $10,000 credit limit. And let's say out of that $10,000, you spend $5,000. So that means you spent half. You spent half of that $10,000. You spent $5,000. So if you spent half, what is half of 100? Because 100 is your credit limit. That's your max. That's the 10,000. So what's half of that? Half of that would be 50. So that means you spent 50% of your credit limit. If you spent 3,000 out of the 10,000, that would mean you spent 30% of your credit limit. If you spent 2,000 out of the 10,000, that means you spent 20% of your credit limit. And it goes for whatever amount that you spent. That's what percentage of your credit limit you spent. So if you have a $10,000 credit limit and you spent $3,000, that means you spent 30% of that credit limit, and that brings your utilization for that specific card to 30%. That means you spent 30% and you use, because usage, that's the most important. Usage means spent. So you use 30% of your credit limit. Now, when it comes to utilization, the reason why it's important, because utilization has a lot to do with how the credit bureaus, the three major bureaus, which is Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, it has a lot to do with how they're gonna, I'll call it quote unquote grade. It's not really grade, but it's their little algorithm that goes into your score. It's very important. Your utilization counts a lot towards your score. So let's say you have that $10,000 credit limit, right? But you spending $8,000 of it. Even if you pay that $8,000 off, because some people think they're slick and they think they can do this. They'll have a $10,000 credit limit and then they'll attempt to pay the $8,000 off after they spend $8,000. And they be like, well, you know, yeah, my credit limit is $10,000. I spent $8,000, but I paid it off. It doesn't matter. You used it, you know, so it's still gonna hurt your utilization. If you get billed for that $8,000, that's going towards your utilization. So that means that you spent 80%. Your utilization is 80%, and you don't want a utilization of 80%. I'm telling you now, if you have a utilization of 80%, it's gonna hurt your score. Now, a lot of people can debate. It's always debates on here. It's always arguments. I've been at this credit thing for years, more than 5 years. It's heading towards 10 years. And I have done just about everything when it comes to playing with my credit score to see what works and what doesn't work. Now, of course, I don't play with the people that I help out and consult. I don't play with their credit score. I just tell them what works. But with my own credit score, of course, I was able to play around and see what worked and what didn't work. And a high utilization definitely doesn't work. It definitely makes your score go down. If anybody want to debate this and say, oh, you know, high utilization doesn't matter, then they can make their own video. But from my experience, with 5+ years going on 10 years, utilization definitely does have a big impact on your score. Even if you do pay it off, your bill, you're not late with paying your bill and things of that nature, it still matters and it still counts. So since you know that, and since I just explained that, the goal with utilization is to keep your utilization under 10%. Now, the popular thing to say is to keep it under 30%, right? That's all you hear, you know, 30%. Now, when I started my credit journey years ago, it was 30%. Like, all I heard was 30, but guess what I said? I said, I'm gonna do 10, because I realized back then that a lower utilization actually benefits you. It actually helps your credit score. So I learned back then, I was like, I'm gonna do 10. I'm not gonna do 30, I'm gonna do 10. And now you notice that a lot of people are starting to say, keep it under 15, keep it under 10, because they realize the lower your utilization, the better it is for your credit score. I'll repeat that. The lower your utilization, the better it is for your credit score. So keep that in mind. When you have these credit cards and you have these credit card accounts, keep in mind, the lower your utilization, the better it is for your credit score. I wanted to really, you know, drill that home so you will understand that. So whenever you get a credit card, the goal is to keep your utilization under 10%. How much under 10% is strictly up to you. But remember what I said, the lower your utilization, the better it is for your credit score. So of course, if you're keeping it under 10%, it's gonna have a good impact on your credit score. But let's say you want to make it 5%, then it's gonna have an even greater, you know, benefit to your score. Now, there has been some back and forth debate on social media and even in my comment section about how you should pay off your bill. And some people, they like paying on their account every 2 weeks in order to lower their utilization. I have a different concept in that. I say always wait till you get your bill and then you pay. But either way, whichever way works for you, works for you. You will know which way works for you, judging by whether or not your score is improving or not. But I always say, be mindful of your utilization and your usage, and that way you don't have to pay every week, every 2 weeks. Because if you're mindful of how much of the percentage of your card that you're using, you won't have to say, oh, I spent $800, so I gotta chop that down to $400, so my balance is only $400, so I gotta chop that down in 2 weeks. You won't have to do that. So just be mindful of how much your utilization and how much of your credit limit you are using. I know some of you may be wondering, well, what if my credit limit isn't that high? Then you still have to be mindful of how much you're using. You still have to. Just ride it out. I had to ride it out. When I first started out, I had a Discover card and it had a $200 credit limit on there. And this was years ago. You know, it had a $200 credit limit, but I kept my utilization at 10%, meaning I was only spending $20 per month with that card. Now, of course, I could have put more money down and had a higher credit limit if I wanted to, but I didn't look at it like that. I didn't care about, you know, how much I could spend on the card. My main goal was having the card graduate. So it's all subjective. It all depends on what you want to do with the card. If you have a secured card and you're like, oh, I want to be able to spend more money, your focus shouldn't be spending more money on a secured card. Your focus should be getting that secured card to graduate as soon as possible. That's what your focus should be on. And in order to do that, you have to watch your utilization. So a lot of people come to me and they come in the comments and they say, well, your credit limit on your secured cards, it should be higher. You should put $1,000 as your credit limit. Why? So you can spend $100? Is that why? You know, so just be mindful of that, you know? So that's utilization. That's the quickest and easiest way I could tell you. I know the video wasn't that quick, but I just wanted to drive home the point. Hopefully you understand it. If you don't understand it, be sure to leave questions in the comment section. Also, be sure to leave feedback in the comment section. One thing about this channel, Water Your Soil, I said this in a previous video, but I don't think a lot of people paid attention to what I was saying. You're allowed to have opposing views in the comment section. Actually, you know, that's pretty good to share your ideas, especially if they relate to credit. However, if you're disrespectful and you come on this page being disrespectful in the comment section, you getting out of here. You will get blocked. So I'm just letting it be known. But anyways, this is Water Your Soil. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. I thank you all for watching this video. I hope it helps you out. And I hope it helps you get increases in your credit score. But anyways, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.